What do you think about when there's stories coming out now from a former teammate about this club?
Well, I can only speak for myself, but I'm sure they had the chance to speak up and they didn't. They had a chance to make things right here. So the fact that they didn't do it for me says a lot. So yeah, there's nothing much I can say about that. I don't know where it was coming from, what they were thinking. I'm not sure. I was taught whatever happens in a locker room stays in a locker room type of thing. So yeah, that's all on me, I guess.
Yes, there's a report out there today that you had a physical altercation with Tim Anderson this season, that specifically that you slapped him, did you?
Oh yeah, this is unreal. Especially the fact that they said it was a day before the All-Star break. I'll tell you one thing, the one thing I was thinking about that day, especially after that game, was let's go to this lake house I have rented with my family because I haven't spent enough time with them. So yeah, I know people need to do their jobs and they're trying to put a story out, but it's crazy to what extent people can go to just put something out there. I feel like you're almost fishing for something.
Does that mean it happened or didn't happen, or you're just not saying?
Definitely not. But I think I just answered that.
There was a mention in there about a lack of rules and accountability within the clubhouse. Do you see accountability in the clubhouse if things, go off the rails occasionally?
Accountability, accountability is, for me, number one. You got to be accountable for everything. Maybe whoever said that wasn't really accountable for their actions. But when it comes down to me, I know exactly what people expect out of me. I know exactly what it is that I need to do. I'm trying to show guys exactly what it is or what it means to be accountable for things. Some guys take longer to buy in, some guys don't ever buy in. But I think the group of guys that we have, they have a really good understanding of that.
How have you seen Tim evolve with professional, personal problems over the years? And everybody has them in every walk of life. We all know that. How would you view him in dealing with his adversity right now?
Listen, I think of Tim the same way that I thought of him the first time I got here. I feel like he can be the best shortstop in this game. I think we've all seen it. I don't think we judge anybody. I think the clubhouse is a safe space. And like I said, I think I am very highly, and I think there's a lot of Tim left. We all make mistakes. I'm sure you've made mistakes before, so things just live and learn. So yeah, we're going to support Tim no matter what.
Frankly, the first rule of the clubhouse is what goes on in the clubhouse is supposed to stay there. I'm a big believer in that tenet. However, when an individual player casts aspersions and puts his name on it, I feel a responsibility to respond. Quite frankly, it's a little bit ironic that Keenan's the one saying this, because my last conversation with him face-to-face was a week ago in this clubhouse, where he sought me out to apologize for his unprofessional behavior. Unprofessional behavior that Pedro had called him out on and had an individual meeting with him about, and Keenan wanted to apologize for it. I told him at the time I figured that was a one-off and not something that anyone needed to get into greater detail of. And he shared that he understood there was a trade deadline coming up, and that if we moved him, he would be very interested in returning to us as a free agent. So for a number of reasons, the sanctity of the clubhouse, his own personal experience here, as well as what he expressed to me as his future desires, I was surprised to see the report this morning. As for the content of the report, Unfortunately, I mentioned to you a few weeks ago that there's going to probably be some palace intrigue around here, and you had to be careful about sourcing and what kind of information was out there and who was saying what, and not getting both sides. As for the specifics he laid out there, I'll go one by them and explain why each of them were off. At no point over the course of this year has there been a reliever sleeping in the bullpen during a game. That's just wrong. We do have a position player, who has fairly serious sleep issues. And as part of our sports performance program of trying to address that issue, he has been given permission and in fact encouraged to sleep in the clubhouse at times. Earlier in the season, a couple of our veteran players approached me complaining about such behavior. To their credit, they thought they were trying to help the environment, and when I explained to them the background of the player and why we were doing that, they relented and understood. Perhaps that's something that got lost in translation in Keenan's report, but at no point have we had a player sleeping in the bullpen. Young player missed infield practice, and there were no repercussions. We did have a young player miss infield practice, and for the next 3 days he was out there doing infield practice as extra work, as a means of breaking through and holding him accountable for missing the practice and showing the importance of being there. The meeting in Toronto where only pitchers spoke, it's not true. Andrew Benintendi spoke during that meeting. It was, again, something that's supposed to stay in the clubhouse, but once you open the door and subject us to criticism, we're going to be a little more candid about it. So, again, no one in this organization for the last several weeks has run from the fact that we've had cultural issues and we need to improve the leadership in that room. We're going to continue to strive to get better in that area, but one thing we're not going to do is stand idly by while false reports are put out there about the character of the men that remain in that room.
So you would, one of the other things you said about no rules, no accountability, you would dispute
100%.
both.
100%.
So even if you've articulated it before to whatever extent, can you do it now? What is the culture what is not right about
people
the
who
culture
are,
in your view?
again, the people who have been here on a regular basis have heard this repeatedly. The kind of culture we want to create is one that not only has accountability, but has people all pulling the same direction. People that are willing to understand. We have players from different backgrounds. We have players with different needs. We have players with different strengths and some weaknesses, and that we're all trying to pull the same direction to getting the best out of them all in terms of winning ball games. Anyone who tries to thwart that effort or makes it more about me than the team, meaning the individual as opposed to the team, doesn't fit what we're trying to do. And those are the type of players that we prioritize in the draft. That's what we preach in player development, and it's what is going to be a focus going forward and continue to be a focus in player acquisition going forward.
So where are the White Sox on that?
We're work in progress. We're work in progress. We had a problem. We've addressed a good portion of it, and we got to continue to do it.
Greg, you put this roster together. I know there's consensus for it. Where have you gone wrong then in trying to kind of create a cohesive roster and clubhouse?
Again, I think a partial part of the element in this is the adversity. I mean, when we were rolling in 21, we had some issues. We had some clubhouse issues. We had some disputes along the way in 21. But things were going so well, we were able to overcome it. My mistake, if I want to put one or put many on me if you'd like, is that I perhaps overestimated the strength in that room to deal with adversity. Again, we got off to a wretched start and things snowballed from there. I thought we had the strength and the presence to pull ourselves out from under it and keep, instead of throwing stones, like pull together and bond over the adversity, us against the world kind of thing, and it didn't happen.
What was your reaction upon first seeing the comments and just kind of the way it depicted?
I was
both
shocked.
The front office and
I was shocked. Again, coming from Key, I was shocked because, again, literally 8 days ago, I'm sitting behind this wall and he's telling me he wants to be back, and he's apologizing for his own unprofessional conduct, which again I thought was frankly relatively minor. But Pedro grabbed him up on it, and Pedro, I think gave it to him pretty good about what he did was unacceptable. So I was very surprised from hearing from a guy who really had no issue with while he was here, and wanted to return, and he himself was held accountable for certain rule violations, let's say, and for him to be pointing the finger that wasn't happening here, I was frankly confused by it.
We know
You get,
that
Rick,
Pedro.
why a lot of people.
There you go.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
You
Paul.
get why a lot of people don't believe you should be the one to fix this. It should be
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
And what would you say to that? I mean, it's.
I would say to that, I absolutely get that. It's the nature of pro sports. The fact of the matter is, I probably wasn't as smart as everyone thought I was when I was winning Executive of the Year a couple of years ago, or when the publication was naming me whatever the hell you named me, Chicago Sports Person of the Year. And the odds are I'm probably not as stupid as people think I am now. But this is the nature of the beast, the nature of pro sports. And look, at the end of the day, whether I'm here or not, it's going to come down to any of Jerry Reinsdorf or Kenny Williams or myself feeling I'm not the right guy going forward.
You wouldn't step down.
Again, we're trying to beat the Yankees tonight. Let's see what happens in the next few years.
Pedro, what was your reaction to the comments that Keenan made about rules and accountability in the clubhouse in general?
I was kind of surprised. Surprised it came from him. I think Rick mentioned it out here today that just prior to him leaving, he shared with us how much he wanted to come back. So I was kind of surprised.
Did it give you anything to think about? Did he have, was there truth in what he said?
Listen, I've been talking about culture here since day one. I brought it up 3 or 4 weeks ago. I said how important it was to the success of this organization, not just this year, but next year and beyond, and sustained success. I think culture drives success. I didn't like the way our culture and the direction our culture was headed, so we had to make some adjustments. Deadline came. Had a meeting with them in Cleveland on Saturday. We addressed a bunch of issues that I thought needed to be addressed, and we're moving forward. We're moving forward with a new laid foundation on rock, not on muck, on rock, that is going to sustain any little problem that we may have moving forward. So culture is a big deal to me. I think it's the most important part of a winning franchise, and we're determined to build it and build it the right way.
How early did you start recognizing that, Pedro? And I'm sure at first there was kind of a feeling out process trying to get to know the club too. Right?
You're always, I'm always on the alert for culture, and I'm always on the alert for possible fractures. So as the season goes on, you start seeing things here and there that can affect that. So how early? Spring training. So, and that's and you try to do things here and there to help that and fix it, but at the same time you also got to be real to yourself and excuse me, and ask how where are we culture wise, and where do we want to go. And I decided to wait till Saturday in Cleveland to talk about it, and I feel like we're not even close to where we need to be, but we're headed in the right direction.
Lynn talked about, he said that Middleton, a lot of his comments were right on. So he was interviewed today. Did Lynn ever talk to you, or did you talk to him about the culture in the clubhouse?
I had many conversations with most all our players, if not all of them, some more than others. I'm not going to comment about those conversations that I had with them. That's Lance's opinion, and that's where we're at. I'm not gonna get into any type of back and forth with any player that was here that has an opinion on our culture and what we were doing.
Pedro, in order to have a good culture, you have to have leaders in order to do it. Do you have to develop leaders in your clubhouse, or do you have some guys right now that can be leaders?
I think we have guys in this clubhouse that have the characteristics of being really good leaders. In my opinion, leadership is 10% given, 90% taken, and we have 2 months here for guys in there to stand up and take it. There's certainly guys in there with the strength and characteristics to become leaders. I'm really looking forward to watching this club and who wants to take that next step.
Did you feel any exasperation at any point earlier in the season about guys not doing enough in terms of what you wanted them to do, following rules, doing the day-to-day little things.
But when I came in here, I had 2 rules. Whatever we do in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse. Make sure you're on time, okay? And the other one that I talked about was respect. So actually 3. And I said, as far as rules, anything that happens that you feel like you're fracturing our culture, okay, that's a rule. Don't fracture our culture. So I left it kind of open. Was it a mistake or not? I'm not sure, but moving forward, I think the foundation is going to be set in a way that those are going to be our rules as well. Because people are going to know that the culture is the most important thing to building a sustained, successful organization. And when you start fracturing that, and you have good leaders in the clubhouse, they're going to take care of it. And if they don't, I'll take care of it. But I'm hoping that it doesn't get to my desk.
In retrospect, do you think you could have been assertive earlier on this?
No, the assertiveness was giving them the opportunity to lead, right? And over some time, I realized that the leaders I thought we had in there weren't leaders. So we took a step back, we regrouped, and here we are.
Has player buy-in been a challenge from the start of spring to now?
In what regard?
Have you found it challenging to get players to buy in and be receptive to what you're trying to preach?
I think every player wants good culture. And I think every player to a man in there wants an environment where they feel they can have success in, and they feel like their teammates have their back. No, not